Hi, and welcome to Filled with His Love. I'm someone who likes results. If I'm fixing my sprinkler system, I like to turn the water on and make sure it works. If I'm preparing with my wife to teach a lesson to the Sunbeams, which we are doing each week now, I like to try it out and see if that works with these amazing little kids. If I'm writing a book, I like to see it in print. Results. Most of us like to see the results of our efforts. We don't like to start something without finishing it. Gary Ryan Blair, a motivational speaker, once said, quote, "The world is filled with people who are good starters. What we need are more good finishers." End quote. President Monson also gave a talk entitled Finishers Wanted. He was talking about the race of life and said we all need to ask ourselves the question, shall I falter or shall I finish? Now, let's reflect for a few minutes on the story of Oliver Granger, who the Lord mentioned in the Doctrine and Covenants. When the saints left Kirtland for Missouri in 1838, they left behind more than a temple. They left debts, lawsuits, and angry creditors. The church's finances were in shambles, and much of the community viewed the Latter-day Saints with hostility. Into that storm stepped a quiet man named Oliver Granger. Joseph Smith asked him to stay behind in Kirtland when nearly everyone else moved west. His task? Settle the church's debts, sell remaining properties, and try to make peace with those who had been wronged. It was one of the hardest assignments imaginable. No glory, no recognition, and no clear end in sight. Oliver was nearly blind, financially limited, and entirely alone. But he accepted the call. While others moved on to new beginnings in Missouri, Oliver stayed behind to finish what should be and could be finished, if anything at all. In Doctrine and Covenants 1:17-12, the Lord spoke directly to him. Quote, "I remember my servant Oliver Granger. Behold, verily I say unto you, that his name shall be had in sacred remembrance from generation to generation, forever and ever." End quote. That's a pretty nice promise. I wouldn't mind that promise being said of me somehow at the end of life. The Lord did not say that Oliver had succeeded in his task. He simply said that he would be remembered. Why? Because of his dedication to fulfill the call he had been given. Those few words are among the most tender in all of Scripture. The Lord did not say Oliver succeeded. He said, "I remember." Oliver's task was never fully completed. He died before all the debts were settled, yet heaven declared his name sacredly remembered. Why? Because faithful endurance matters more to God than visible success. Oliver showed that finishing isn't just reaching the end, it's remaining faithful when the end never comes. The Lord also said, and I love this verse, quote, "Oliver Granger's sacrifice shall be more sacred unto me than his increase, saith the Lord." I want to say that again. Oliver Granger's sacrifice shall be more sacred unto me than his increase. Now, that's a little hard to understand at first, but this makes it clear that your effort, in other words, Oliver Granger's efforts, are more sacred than completing his task. This makes it clear that your effort is more important than your accomplishments. We often measure one another by our accomplishments, but shouldn't we be looking deeper? Shouldn't we look at a person's heart as the Lord does? We can never fully assess someone else's motives, but we should be open to multiple interpretations. Judging someone based on that person's accomplishments is incomplete at best and could be damaging. Scriptures say, "We judge not." But we can judge our own motives. We know why we do things or why we don't do things. And if we can look inside and say to ourselves that we did our best, we gave it all we could give, the Lord will look upon us as he did Oliver Granger. He will say, in essence, "I'm much more interested in your commitment, your devotion, than I am in the outcome of your effort." President Nelson wisely taught, the Lord loves effort. Think of missionary work. No matter how hard a missionary might try to interest someone in the gospel, the person they're talking to has agency, and the missionary cannot control the outcome. All the missionary can do is try his or her best, and however things turn out, the Lord might say to that missionary, I know your heart is right, and I'm more interested in your heart than I am in the results of your effort. President Nelson's teaching also infers that effort means real effort. It's like President Hinckley saying, do your best, do your very best. We know if we've done our best, and that's all we can do. We just have to leave the rest up to the Lord. And this applies also to relationships, all kinds of relationships, spousal relationships, sibling relationships, friendships, all kinds of relationships. Because if we exert effort to improve a relationship, that's all we can do. We cannot act for the other person in that relationship. We cannot change that other person, but we can exert effort to improve our relationships. So, the next time you don't see results you were hoping for, think of Oliver Granger. Stuck back in Kirtland, dealing with dissatisfied and sometimes hostile people, hostile creditors. He did his best, and the Lord recognized him for it. That's all the Lord expects of any of us. We all want the assurance that our offering, however small or insignificant it might seem to us, might be accepted of the Lord. So, we just need to do our part with all our heart, as Elder Uchtdorf counseled in the most recent General Conference. I might add that when we do that, when we give all we can give, when we exert our effort, as President Nelson taught, the Lord rewards us with reassurance. We feel His love and His approval. And in this sometimes frustrating world, that reassurance, that love, that approval is all we need. I hope this is helpful, and we look forward to being with you next time.